Hey guys, this is Chris from AndroidPIT.com. We're here today with the Galaxy S6 and the Galaxy S5. We're going to do a little bit of a comparison. Obviously, the S6 is a big upgrade over the S5 in pretty much all ways, being the successor, but we're going to focus on the angle of value. Obviously, the Galaxy S5 you can pick up for about $400 at the moment, whereas the S6 is quite a bit more expensive than that. So, at 2/3 the price, is the S5 actually better value than the Galaxy S6? So you can see up the front there's not too much of a difference between the two. They both still look very much like Galaxy devices. We've got the same AMOLED display, same size even. We've also got the dedicated home button which houses a fingerprint scanner, but on the edges we have very different design. You can see on the S5 on the left we have this sort of metallic looking plastic, and on the back kind of plastic made to look a little bit like leather. Whereas on the S6 we actually have a metal trim and we have glass on the back. So it's kind of like the S5 was trying to look premium, but the Galaxy S6 actually is premium. If we flip them over, you can see the glass back, obviously, a bit of a fingerprint magnet, and we've got a slight reorientation of the flash with the camera lens there, but basically there's not too much different in terms of layout other than the speakers have now moved from the back on the S5 to the bottom on the S6. We'll get to those in a little bit. But one of the other big differences is, of course, TouchWiz. TouchWiz on the S6 was completely redesigned to be faster and cleaner and better. And even though the S5 has had an update, you can already see just with the dedicated screen on the side there how much faster it is. And we'll get into more of that in the review if you want to take a look at that in the description below. Now, with that premium look, we also get a few more premium features, like we get Qi wireless charging built into the S6. We also get turbocharging. However, we don't have a removable back panel anymore, which means that the access to a removable battery on the S5 is gone. We also don't have access to a micro SD card slot. The S6 makes up for that by having a much faster internal storage and a bigger capacity, up to 128 gigabytes. But considering the price you'll pay for that, compared to a cheap old SD card for the S5, sometimes the balance is a little bit off kilter. Speaking of batteries, the removable cell in the Galaxy S5 is actually bigger than that in the S6 as well. It also gives you better battery life. Part of that is obviously because of the QHD display on the S6, which obviously draws a lot more power and demands more out of the processors. But the S5, I think, has better battery optimizations for that display, as well as the option of switching the battery out. When it comes to the speakers as well, the speakers on the S6 have moved to the bottom, which may make some people happy. They're no longer found on the back here, but rather on the bottom. The problem is that they don't sound very good. The volume is pretty much the same, except the S5 is a little bit bassier and it just sounds a little bit more tonally correct to me. On the S6 it's definitely better in the high tones, but it's so high it sounds like a tin can full of broken glass. It's really not anything you would be proud of. Now if you take a look at the bottom of the displays, you'll also see that the home button is actually a little different. That's because the finger scan has actually changed. On the S6 it's a touch-based sensor. On the S5 it's a swipe-based sensor. So it's a little bit bigger, but it's also a lot more accurate, and we like it a lot more. Now, when it comes to the all-important camera, the Galaxy S6 is out of this world impressive. It's almost easily the very best camera on any smartphone you can buy right now, with the possible exception of the LG G4. But that's not to say that the S5 is not any good. It's actually a really, really impressive camera too, and still so. But if you want the absolute best-in-class camera, then the S6 is clearly your choice. So there we go. So while it's obvious that with the Galaxy S6 you'll get a better processor, more RAM, you'll get a faster experience, you'll get a better camera all round, but with the Galaxy S5 for 2/3 of the price, you're still getting a very good camera, you're getting better speakers, and you're getting a very good version of TouchWiz as well. Maybe not quite as fast, but all things considered, you have to ask yourself the question, just how much more is the Galaxy S6 worth it to you for those additional benefits that it brings? Keep in mind too that you'll get much better battery life and a removable battery on the Galaxy S5, as well as micro SD card expansion capabilities. So for me, I have to say, if money is no object and you simply have to have the best, mostly camera, then of course the Galaxy S6 is the smartphone for you. However, if you're a little bit more bargain conscious and you want something that's almost as good but gives you a few more options, then I would definitely recommend the S5 as one of the bargains of the year. Let us know in the comments what you think, which phone you think is actually better value considering the price difference, and what you'd like to see in the next video. Till next time, guys.